Yo, what's good, Freestyle fam? It's the ball that never falls, Chicago ball breaker, Ryo Freestyle. I just wanted to say that it's been 12 years since I started this amazing art form called Freestyle Football. Thanks to Freestyle Football, I have also discovered other hidden abilities like being a writer. Naturally, spending so much time alone with the ball has led me to start asking a lot of questions and writing my thoughts and ideas down, kinda like a philosopher. Matter of fact, I'm a freestyle philosopher. And after these 12 years of freestyle football, I had this one big question pop into my head. Is freestyle football a game of the gods? Before I give you the yes or no answer, I will present to you my thought process and connections I made that lead to the final answer to this big question. I want you guys to keep an open mind. These ideas are stuff I put a lot of thought into, and in reality can mean absolutely nothing.
I want you guys to keep these two words in mind: psychokinesis and telekinesis. For thousands of years, we all have heard stories of historical, religious, mythical, and fictional characters having the ability to move objects with their mind. Characters like Marvel's Jean Grey and Yoda from Star Wars are some good examples of characters that have the ability of telekinesis. A good example of psychokinesis is the religious figure, the one they call Christ. It was said that Christ turned water to wine, was able to heal the sick, even bring the dead back to life. Psychokinesis is the ability to have an influence on the outside world with your mind. I know what you're thinking, Freestyle fam. You're crazy. All that stuff is impossible. I get it, it does sound impossible. It doesn't help that many scientific studies done on these quote-unquote paranormal abilities have ended with the participant being debunked as a fraud. Some of these famous psychic frauds were James Heydrich and Felicia Paris. James Heydrich was said to turn pages and make pencils spin with his mind. Heydrich eventually confessed that his psychic abilities were tricks and that he learned how to move objects by blowing in a deceitful way. He even said that the idea behind his tricks was to see how dumb America was, how dumb the world is. Then there's Miss Felicia Paris. Felicia was said to be able to move pill bottles across kitchen counters. It was eventually found out that she was using invisible threads to move the bottles. There are many countless tales like these where the psychic ends up being a trickster or a fraud. The lack of scientific studies and reliable evidence makes psychokinesis seem like only a phenomenon and gets put into the category of pseudoscience. So with all of this being said, how is psychokinesis and freestyle football related? And how would psychokinesis even be possible? I want you, freestyle fam, to take a close look at the art of freestyle football. Although we call our skills tricks, our freestyle skills are the furthest thing from being tricks. It is the real deal. I just came up with something called the freestyle effect. The freestyle effect is when people who never been exposed to freestyle see it in action for the first time. A lot of those people are either in shock or surprise, asking how is it even possible. Even a lot of us freestylers went through this effect. From personal experience, I can even say that I thought freestyle football was impossible up until the moment I saw it. After 12 years of being a freestyler, I can tell you that there is no such thing as impossible. The human mind is capable of anything, including psychokinesis. As I said before, psychokinesis involves the mind having an influence on the outside world. Many psychics have tried to bend spoons and move objects, but have they ever tried to control a ball? Think about it for a minute. The ball is just another external object that the mind can connect to and control. If you're anything like me, you have a deep connection with your ball. I love freestyle football. The ball for me is no longer just a physical object. The ball is now connected to emotions of love, joy, and possibilities. The more you practice freestyle, the stronger your emotional connection will be. Imagine yourself learning new tricks and being able to do combos you thought were impossible. Think about all of the fun and joy you will experience when you achieve your freestyle goals. All of those feelings make that emotional connection stronger. There also comes a point where you become so good at freestyle football that every trick feels so easy. You don't even have to think about the tricks you do. It almost is like walking. It's during those moments where you're so focused on your flow that you start to feel like you're one with the ball. You literally have perfect control over the ball when you get into the zone. You feel like you can do anything and that no combo is impossible. I believe the reason us humans have been playing ball games for thousands of years and continue to participate in these games is because it puts us into a meditative state where we can get closer to God. I know, I sound crazy talking about psychokinesis and now God is playing ball games to meditate. But once again, have an open mind. Everything I'm talking about is connected, so just listen a bit longer. If we look back in time, our ancestors have been playing with the ball for thousands of years. In the years of 2300 BC, the Chinese played a game called Kuju. Ku means kick and Ju means ball. Kuju was played together in groups. The most common version of this game was kicking the ball up and keeping it off the ground. There was also a different version that had teams and goals. FIFA even declared Kuju as the origin of traditional football. Japan also had their own version of Kuju, which was called Kemari. But perhaps some of the most well-known and even mysterious were the ball games of ancient Mesoamerica. Mesoamerican ball games can be traced back to the Olmec people who created Mesoamerica's first civilization and left a rich cultural heritage for later groups like the Aztec and Mayans. The Olmec were even known as the rubber people. It's said that latex was first harvested using the native plants of Mesoamerica. With their own process, they shaped the latex into various sized rubber balls. These balls were used during the ball games. The Mayans named their ball game Poc Tapoc and was later named Ulamalitzli by the Aztecs. Over 1,300 ball courts have been excavated in Central America. The ball courts varied in length and width, but most courts were structured in the shape of an eye. To the people of ancient Mesoamerica, these ball games were a huge part of their culture and religion. They would even participate in ritual beheadings. These beheadings were rare and only the losing team would lose their head.
I feel pretty happy that our modern version of ball games aren't as serious or as gruesome. But the reason I tell you a brief history of ball games is because it's important to ask these questions. What made these ball games so special that it was even considered a religious ceremony? I said this before, but I believe the reason why humans have been playing ball games for thousands of years is because it puts us into a meditative state where we can be closer to God. I know that a lot of people are familiar with meditation as being a relaxing, sitting still, focusing on breathing, empty your mind and close your eyes type of activity. This common type of meditation is known as closed eye meditation. But there's also a type of meditation that most people never hear about, which is open eye meditation. Open eye meditation can be done with any activity, but today we're talking about how it relates to the ball games in freestyle football. The reason people meditate with their eyes closed is to connect to the inside world. When you meditate with your eyes open, it is to connect with the outside world. Most open eye meditation is done while sitting and keeping focus on a fixed focal point, like a dot inside a mandala. But the advanced meditators aren't restricted to sitting still. An advanced meditator can turn any activity into meditation. These ball games, more specifically freestyle football, is one of those perfect activities that can put you into a meditative state. Think about it. Whenever you're juggling a ball, you start to get so focused on the ball that you're not thinking of anything else but your next combo or next trick that you want to try. This is how you know that you're making a connection with the ball. Your connection with the ball becomes stronger the more you practice because of the amount of focus that you need to pull off long combination of tricks. It's during those moments where your heart is racing and your breathing is heavy that will bring you into the present, into the now. Like I said before, Freestyle fam, your emotional connection to the ball will also strengthen your connection. So your connection to the ball will be determined by the type of relationship you have with it. So if you're the type of person who gets mad when they fail or mess up a trick, or even views freestyle football practice as a burden or a pain to practice, then you won't have a good relationship and connection with the ball. Matter of fact, you won't be having much fun with this game. This is an example of a negative relationship with freestyle. If you're the type of person who gets excited to practice and sees failure as a step closer to achieving your freestyle goals and view freestyle as a fun game to play, then you will have a deep and good connection to the ball. This is an example of a good relationship to freestyle or the ball. Okay, freestyle fam, So we have the physical connection, which is whenever you're touching or physically learning a new trick. A mental connection is whenever you master a skill or a trick, or when a trick clicks and are able to be so focused that you don't think too much about performing the skill. And then we just learn about the emotional connection to the ball, which depends on what type of feelings you attach to the ball. But there's actually one more type of connection you can have with the ball. Most people live multiple lives without ever experiencing this type of connection. What I'm talking about is a spiritual connection. I know what some of y'all are asking. How can we establish a spiritual connection to an object that has no spirit? Well, there are a lot of connections to this topic. I will briefly explain the relevant points that fit into why would freestyle football be a game of the gods. Just to remind y'all to please subscribe to this YouTube channel, Freestyle Fam. Pretty soon I am starting a freestyle football blog with all of my writings that have to do with freestyle. I even have a video called What I Learned from 11 Years of Freestyle Football. I recommend you to click here or click the link in this video description to check out that video. So our question was, how can we establish a spiritual connection to a ball or object that has no spirit? Listen up, Freestyle Fam. We're about to dive deep into the spiritual world. I want you guys to wrap your head around the idea that spirit is an unseen force. A lot of unseen forces have to do with energy. That's because spirit is energy. Now, I want you to keep in mind what the famous scientist Nikola Tesla said. He said, if you wish to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. So now think about the basic building blocks of the universe. The universe is made up of tiny particles called matter or atoms. Matter or these atoms are constantly vibrating. Depending on the vibration, you get the 4 states of matter: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Matter is a material. It is everywhere in this universe. So this means that your ball may not be alive or conscious, but it has its own spirit or energy, its own vibration, since it is made up of matter. It has its own presence in this plane of existence. Keep all of this in mind. It's also interesting how our breath and body are all interconnected to the spiritual world. Imagine that you're in your favorite freestyle spot. You're in the middle of practice, pulling off some impossible combos, and you're in the zone. It's during these moments where your body starts to sweat, your heart starts racing, your breathing rate increases. At the end of a long sesh, I'm sure we all feel good after, especially knowing that we smashed a few freestyle goals or even did a really cool combo. A lot of us, without thinking about it or realizing it, have went through the process of energy transmutation or transformation. Our breath is the biggest influence in this process of energy transfer or transformation. Look at the words breath and ether. If you don't know what ether is, ether can be defined as a substance that is space itself. So the vacuum of space, the space between the planets, the stars, even the space that separates the atoms which matter is made from. Combine breath and ether and you get breather. Every living organism is a breather. Not only are we breathing in oxygen in the air, but we are breathing in ether. Apart from the 4 states of matter, there are also the 5 elements: fire, water, earth, air, and the hidden 5th element, which is spirit. Spirit is also referred to as ether. Even the word spirit comes from the Latin word spirare. Spirare in Latin means to breathe. The modern Spanish word for breath, respirar, comes from this word. With this being said, we can see why breathing is important in meditation and especially in sports like freestyle football. Our breathing connects us to the spiritual world. It also activates the energy transmutation process. Our increased breathing rate is what gets our heart and blood pumping, body warm, and then we start to sweat. All of this takes up energy or burns calories, and then after practice, our feel-good hormones start to kick in. It's during after our freestyle practice that we get hit with dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and even sometimes adrenaline. This mix of hormones can feel so good sometimes that we can even feel godlike. Who knew it would feel so good to play with your ball? I believe when we establish a true spiritual connection to the ball is when we can start to even have an outside influence on the ball with only our mind. But we must remind ourselves that even if we do develop super abilities like telekinesis and psychokinesis, we are not better nor greater than the Most High God, even if we feel godlike. This godlike feeling isn't why I believe freestyle football is the game of the gods. I believe the reason why these ball games were considered to be so important to our ancestors was not because they were feeling godlike from all of the endorphins being released into their system. Think about this, Freestyle fam. What are some words that would describe God? A lot of people would say loving, Lord, divine, Father, and powerful. But there are a few others who would say that God is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. I want your focus to be on these two words, omniscient and omnipresent. If you don't know what these words mean, omniscient is having complete or unlimited knowledge, awareness, or understanding of all things. Omnipresent means being present everywhere at the same time. So here's where my thinking gets crazy. If God is omniscient and omnipotent, doesn't that mean God knows everything that I'm doing at all times? Doesn't it also mean that He's there with us wherever we go? If God is there with us at all times, that must mean that He's there with us even as we are practicing freestyle football, and even being amused and enjoying our tricks and skills. God just wants us to have fun. This brings my thinking back to the ball games of the ancient Mesoamericans. I think the Aztecs realized that God was watching over everyone. Knowing this, they created these ceremonial, even religious ball games to put on a show or spectacle for the Most High God. We can even find similar connections with the ancient Greeks and their ancient Olympic Games, which were held in honor of Zeus, the Greek and Roman god. These Olympic Games attracted people across Greece and Rome. Crowds would get together to watch sports such as running, long jump, wrestling, just to name a few sports. Lastly, is it really a coincidence that if we take a close look at the word ball and broke it down, we get be all? To be all. What does it mean to be all? Who or what is the all? Well, to be all means to be everything and everyone. This would explain God's omnipresence. We humans are bestowed with enough awareness to be aware that we aren't God, but a part of the one, the all, the whole. It is our will and potential. So when we talk about the one, the all, we are now in the realm of numbers. The one that came from the none, complete nothingness, zero. Everything came from nothing and became something. You are the sum of that one thing, the Creator. So if the Most High God is everything and He is the one, that also means He is every number from zero until infinity. So the Most High God is infinity itself, which is never ending. Freestyle football is a perfect symbolic representation of the infinite, our infinite potential. Our minds are a reflection of this game called freestyle. Freestyle football has shown us that no trick, no skill, and no combo is impossible. Freestyle combos can be limitless and never ending, so can our mind. But you can also say that freestyle football is ageless. Our ancestors were playing ball games before we even existed. Fast forward into the present moment, it is our generation that is keeping the spirit of these ball games alive. Freestyle football being the pinnacle of all ball games. Once we become aware of our infinite potential, as we can finally be free. It's not a coincidence that freestyle has the word free in it. Our ancestors knew that life was like a game that we can free ourselves from. Once we are free, things like freestyle football or psychokinesis no longer appear to be a mind trick or impossible. It becomes a possibility. You can unlock any ability imaginable. Your imagination is endless and so is the human potential. The key is in your mind. It is up to us to transcend. So with all of that being said, Freestyle fam, I want to end this video with a quote that the famous artist Leonardo da Vinci once said. Learn how to see. Realize that everything connects to everything else. And so with all of the connections that I just presented, do you guys believe that freestyle football is truly a game of the gods? Or am I just a crazy man who has no idea what he's babbling about? In my head, I believe that freestyle football is a game of the gods. I know I sounded crazy talking about ball games and God, but if you found this video enjoyable or at the very least learned something new, don't forget to leave a like or a dislike and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you for listening, Freestyle fam, and I will catch you in the next video. Deuces.